You ever wonder if becoming a millionaire is, actually possible for regular people, like people without a trust fund or some crazy lucky break? Well, today we're going to dig into the story of a couple who did exactly that, and their path was surprisingly simple. Right? We tend to think that hitting that seven-figure mark means you need a massive inheritance, or you gotta nail a once-in-a-lifetime stock pick, or take some huge, risky gamble. But what if there's another way? A path that's less about flash and glamour and more about, well, good old-fashioned consistency and smart habits. Check this out. $1.1 million. And no, this didn't come from a lottery ticket or a hot tech startup. This is what 10 years of deliberate, focused effort can actually look like. So get this, starting in their early 40s, this couple managed to turn 57,000 bucks into over $1 million. And they did it in just a decade. The best part? Their whole method was, and I love this quote, aggressively ordinary. So how on earth did they pull it off? Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to look at their big milestone and where they started, which is super relatable. Then we'll break down the 3 core strategies they used. And finally, we'll uncover the real secret sauce that made their growth just explode in those last few years. All right, first up, the millionaire milestone. This story, which actually started on Reddit, is so powerful because it wasn't about some secret formula or one big dramatic bet. Nope, it was all about applying proven, simple principles with just relentless consistency. But to really get how incredible their achievement is, we have to rewind and look at where they began. Seriously, their starting point is what makes this whole story so impressive, and honestly, so inspiring. So at the start of the decade, they were bringing in a combined income of 95 grand a year and had about 57,000 in investments. But, and this is a big but, they had 2 kids and were facing a massive expense, up to $25,000 a year in daycare alone. The original poster even said those early years felt less like building wealth and more like just trying to keep their heads above water. And just to put their starting point into perspective, their net worth of $57,000 was a little ahead of the median for their age group, which was sitting around $39,000. So yeah, they had a small head start, but we're not talking about a massive fortune here by any stretch. And this brings us to their first, and maybe the most important strategy they had. They actively fought against one of the biggest, quietest wealth killers out there, lifestyle creep. You know how it goes. Most people get a raise and that new money just kind of disappears. It gets absorbed by a nicer car payment, a bigger apartment, more nights out. But this couple, they did the exact opposite. As their paychecks got bigger over the years, they funneled almost all of that extra cash, we're talking like 90% of it, straight into their investments. They just kept living on their old budget and put every single raise to work for them. So where did all that money go? Well, not into anything flashy or exciting. And that brings us to their second big rule. Boring is better. They didn't waste their time trying to pick the next Amazon or Tesla. They didn't try to time the market. In fact, the poster said, I don't do any individual stocks. Instead, they just consistently bought low-cost, broad market index funds. It's a strategy that works because you're instantly diversified across hundreds of companies, your fees are super low, and your risk is spread out. It's an approach that even the legendary Warren Buffett himself recommends for most people. And the data totally backs this up. A huge survey of over 10,000 millionaires found that 3/4 of them, 75%, said their success came from regular, consistent investing over a long, long time. So the key takeaway here is it's the habit, not the heroics, that gets you there. So they saved like crazy and they invested simply. But they also played the game really smartly. And this brings us to strategy number 3, smart account use. See, they didn't just invest their money anywhere. They were strategic about using tax-advantaged accounts to give their money an extra boost. They maxed out their 401ks to get the full employer match, which is literally free money, you guys. They used Roth IRAs so that their money could grow and eventually be withdrawn totally tax-free. They even took advantage of a health savings account or HSA for its amazing triple tax benefit and started 529 plans for their kids' education. Smart, right? Okay, so you've got the discipline, the consistency, and the smart tactics. But what was the secret ingredient? What was the thing that caused their wealth to just absolutely explode in the last few years? The answer is the beautiful mathematical magic of compounding. Let's just follow their journey for a second. They started at 57 grand. 5 years in, they'd tripled it to 168,000, which is awesome progress. But now, look at that last leg of the journey.
They went from around 287,000 at the start of 2020 to 1.1 million just a few years later. That is the classic hockey stick growth curve you hear about, where your money really starts working for you.
The original poster explained it perfectly. He called it the snowball effect. Think about it. A 20% gain on a small portfolio is nice, but it's not life-changing. But that same percentage gain on a much bigger portfolio, say $500,000, adds a massive $100,000 in a single year. The snowball just gets bigger and starts rolling faster and faster.
Now, we have to be honest here. They did have some pretty significant things going for them. They both got consistent raises, and one partner's income nearly doubled over the decade. They also had a really modest mortgage with an incredible 2.8% interest rate. And of course, the big one, when that huge $25,000 a year daycare bill finally went away, it freed up a massive chunk of cash to pour into investments.
So when you really boil it all down, their entire aggressively ordinary strategy sits on these three pillars. Number one, consistency. They automated their savings and just kept investing no matter what the market was doing. 2, discipline. They chose saving over spending every single time and crushed that lifestyle creep. And 3, time. They just stayed in the game long enough to let compounding do all the heavy lifting for them. This couple's story is just such a powerful reminder that building serious wealth doesn't always require some extraordinary, once-in-a-lifetime move. Which brings us to our final question for you. Their path was aggressively ordinary. So what's one ordinary step you can take, maybe even today, to start building your own snowball?